At the age of 18, I got a remote IT job with no degree, freshly graduating school, no industry experience, and no connections. I literally had nothing going for me. No fancy certifications, no family friends giving me an easy job, nothing. And if I could do it, trust me when I say this, you can do it too. It seems impossible when you're scrolling online and everyone makes tech out to seem like this exclusive club, but it's really not. If you follow the steps I'm about to walk you through, the exact things I did with my projects, my resume, my personality, my mindset, and my application strategy, you will put yourself in a position to land your first remote role too. I'm telling you this right now, it is completely doable. The first and most important step, the one that literally carried my entire application, is to start building projects. Bro, this is the easiest way to prove your interest, your curiosity, and your dedication in any technical field. This alone will put you ahead of 90% of people with degrees, because a piece of paper doesn't actually prove anything. But a physical project, a server you built, a tool you made, something you actually configured, this shows real initiative. Employees don't just care about your technical ability. Half the time, they care more about whether you're actually interested in the field, whether you're someone who actually likes IT and isn't just using the industry as a quick paycheck. When I applied for my role, I was only halfway through a basic certificate in IT, and I had just enrolled into university for cybersecurity. I didn't have anything that objectively qualified me, but the thing that set me apart was my projects. I had been running a self-hosted Linux server for 2 years. I had built, upgraded, and troubleshooted multiple PCs. I had gotten into system optimization on both Windows and Linux. I learned the basics of coding in Python and Java. I even built my own ESP32 projects. None of this required money or status. It just required curiosity, which most people don't have in our age. It required searching up tutorials on YouTube and actually being consistent and trying my best. But here's the harsh truth. Most people aren't willing to put in the work. They want the job, but they don't want to actually learn anything unless someone forces them. If you walk away from this video and genuinely apply yourself, even for 30 minutes a day, you will get further than almost any other applicant. Home projects plus curiosity equals job offers. I'm literally living proof of it. If you don't know what projects to do, here are some that any beginner can start. Set up a Linux VM and harden it. Build a home lab with Proxmox. Create an Active Directory environment. Build a small Python script that automates something. Diagnose issues on a junk laptop, host a website locally, build a firewall with pfSense, fix family or friends' computers and document what you've learned. It doesn't matter what the project is. What matters is that you can actually talk about it, that you can reference it, that you can explain the problem and how you physically solved it and what you learned from this. This instantly makes you stand out in interviews because most people applying for entry-level IT have zero projects and zero curiosity. You only need to be slightly better to be the best in the pile. Now, the second thing I did to get my remote job was something that a lot of people are scared to do, and that's applying for a traineeship, even an internship. Let me be extremely transparent. The pay is awful, and that's even if you get paid at all. Most of the work is extremely simple. I was overqualified for the position. And remember, I didn't have any qualifications. I stayed there for about 6 months before I left. I was bored, mentally drained, and I needed something that actually challenged me. But that step was necessary because a traineeship gave me something most young people don't have: practical experience. When you combine home projects with even 6 months of real workplace exposure, you suddenly look like someone who's serious about getting into IT. Someone who has interest, consistency, and a desire to grow within the field. And employees will eat that up. They don't want someone who's trying to get a job. They want someone who wants a career in that field. Someone who wants to get better, take responsibility, and eventually do more than just resetting passwords and actually help a company grow. A traineeship also teaches you things that YouTube can't. Things like workplace communication, ticketing systems, documentation, how to escalate issues properly, and how to talk to non-technical people. You only need a little bit of exposure to an actual IT environment to separate yourselves from the thousands of kids applying with absolutely nothing on their resume related to IT. And that brings me to my next point, something that will carry your entire career. You need to learn everything you possibly can. You will never stop learning in IT, and the day you do, you have failed. Tech evolves every day. Something new comes out constantly. There's no point in trying to act like you know everything, because you don't, and neither does anyone else. The biggest strength you have is curiosity and your youth. The willingness to go home and learn more. The willingness to say, I don't know, but I will find out. This simple mindset has carried me further than most people who rely on ego. I don't act like I know everything. I show what I know through my work, through my projects, and through the results that I get. This is self-confidence, not letting ego define my attitude. And here's the cool part about having projects. Whenever an employer asks you about a technical question, you can anchor your question to a real thing that you've built. Instead of giving theory, you can give real world experience. This is insanely impressive, especially coming from someone with no degree. That just shows that this person actually cares to the employer. It puts you above so many other applicants. It's such a necessary thing to do. Now let's talk about interviews, because this is where a lot of people fail. They either get too nervous, or they don't know what to say, or they try to oversell themselves, or they lack confidence, and that's completely normal. But improving at interviews is nothing but practice. You're not going to get better by avoiding them. You're not going to magically gain social confidence if you never put yourself in uncomfortable situations. What I did was incredibly simple. I thought about interviews before bed. I replayed potential questions in my head. I imagined how I would respond. I imagined how I would act. And yes, it sounds like manifestation, and I'm not going to get into some corny motivational stuff, but this genuinely works because it psychologically prepares you for the moment you're sitting in the real interview. By the time you're actually physically there, your brain has already seen everything before, so you're 10 times calmer and able to speak your mind. You have confidence in yourself and can speak with authenticity. And remember what I said earlier. Interest is everything. If you go into an interview sounding bored, tired, or robotic, you're not going to get the job. I'm just going to keep it blunt with you. Even if someone is more technically skilled, you can beat them by being someone the employer actually wants to work with. The person who smiles, that shows excitement to turn up to their job. The person who genuinely enjoys the field and holds interest, not someone who's just trying to get a paycheck and then dip. The final tip is probably the most important one, and most people will ignore it. Once you finally land the job, the real test will begin. Most people treat getting hired like the finish line. They get the contract and they think they've made it. But that's exactly where people start getting lazy. They stop learning. They lose the interest that got them there. They start coasting. And that's when employees start to see through everything. You cannot do this. The truth is, if you stop applying yourself after getting the job, you won't progress, you won't get promoted, and you definitely won't get raises. You won't learn anything new, and eventually, you'll be the same as everyone else who stagnates in their position for 10 years. You need to keep the same energy you had when you were applying. You need to be curious, take initiative, ask questions, be the person that they can rely on, show passion, be social, bring good energy, and communicate. This is how you build a real career, and it will carry you further than technical skill ever will. And the main point of everything I've said in this video is simple. You have to put in effort. You have to take pride in what you do. You need discipline, curiosity, humility, and consistency. Because IT is one of the rare industries where a kid with no degree, no experience, no connections, and no money can completely change his life in under a year. I'm telling you from experience. If you apply what I've shared today, you will go further than you think. I wish you the best of luck.